Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a topic of why we can make movies become good again. So for this video, I'm going to explain in a simple and straightforward way the topic of why we can make movies good again. So even those who are unfamiliar with this topic can understand it, as well as a lesson that people can learn towards the end of the video, okay? When it comes to the topic of movies, okay? A life lesson that people can learn, when it comes to this specific topic, okay? So now that I've mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of why we can make movies good again, it simply comes down to two things, okay? First and foremost, hard work, and secondly of all, intent, which I'll get to more when I get to that point, okay? That is the two reasons why movies can become good again, okay? So now let's of course discuss the topic of first point, of course, why it simply comes down to hard work, okay? And when it comes to this, of course, point, this would probably come down to people of like, okay, that's common sense, no shit, Sherlock. Like, that's what people are thinking. But the truth of the matter is, the point I'm trying to get at here is that if you have a person who is dedicated to actually trying to make something become good and is actually putting in effort, let alone this is the main thing he wants to do with his life, the one main thing he wants to set a goal doing in life, you will actually realize it is actually not as hard as you would imagine it to be, okay? If you have one person who's dedicating their life to something, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to that specific point, okay, if you have someone specifically, if he's a part of a community of people and he's making stuff that's of good quality, for that matter, the amount of effort that person put in, can definitely make the quality of things become better again. Because the truth of the matter is that, especially in this internet age where you could put every and anything online, the truth is it doesn't take much effort to find an audience of people compared to before. Like even growing up, like in my generation, the 2000s and 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, before my time, oh my goodness, let's not even get into how things were before the 2000s even, okay? Back, even in the 2000s it was bad, The thing is, to even get even like 10, let alone 100 people to actually be aware of, maybe if you're trying to produce a movie or something, their attention was extremely hard to do. It was extremely hard to do, and a lot of the producers were very cutthroat, and if you couldn't hook them in like a certain period of time, they just simply throw it out and say this is stupid, and someone's just even look at the story and be, this is dumb. And sometimes you would actually show them the movie and they'd be laughing at it the whole way through without probably taking the time to understand it. That's how life was back then when you had a movie, that you were coming out with. Nowadays, you don't have to worry about it. You can just put on YouTube, and as long as you're actually putting in effort and promotion, let alone the quality of the things you're producing, at some point you realize somebody's actually going to watch it, and that's the honest truth here, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? So, in short, to answer your question, if you're putting in a lot of hard work, most importantly of all, to the quality of course, the stuff you're producing, you can become good at it. Like if you put in hard work into anything, any skill, you can become good at it. And when it comes to movie making, it's no better. Because the more hard work you put in, the better you're going to become at it over time. The more you're going to understand one thing or another, like how to come up with plots faster, how to come up with, other things more efficiently, like better scripts, better designs, maybe even better action scenes, whatever, yada yada, you get the point. Like, it doesn't take very long to figure that out, when you're actually putting in hard work, because you realize that since it's the main thing you want to do with your life, you have more than enough time to figure out everything that you need to figure out. That is the honest truth of the matter. All you need to do is just simply develop your ability to figure out how to come up with an idea faster, which there are techniques which I actually have on my channel known as a reference sheet, which I do talk in some of my videos about when it comes to the topic of how we can make movies become better again, let alone storylines, which of course relates to movies, of course, no shit, you know. So there's definitely things that you can do to make stuff faster, you know, when it comes to something of good quality. So in short, to answer your question, this whole idea that making something of extreme quality takes like, you know, forever, you know, and stuff is actual bullshit. You know, there's actual techniques that can definitely speed it up so you can come up with something a lot quicker and more efficiently, okay, which I do talk about on my channel. So if you look up those videos, as well as the fact of the matter, if you're willing to work hard making a movie, you will figure something out. So you don't have to worry about that, okay? As long as you understand the most important thing of all, you need to think in the long run, like in terms of years, instead of just expecting, okay, like most people, you know, okay, if I'm not seeing instant results in a few weeks or a few months, okay, this means this, I'm not going to get anywhere. Those people are stupid, you know, let alone that way of thinking is stupid, okay? That is really dumb. You have to think in terms of years. Just like when you go to school, for example, you know, how well you will obviously do when you're like 10 years old, you know, will not be how good you are, you know, when you are 18 years old at a skill, okay? Because of course, if you've been in school from, you know, at least counting from the time you were 10 to 18, you've obviously learned a lot more, so your knowledge is a lot more advanced and better than it was when you were 10. No shit here, you know? So what my point is that just like school, your knowledge naturally builds up over time. And just like school, it takes years. So it's no different from becoming a skill when it comes to something you actually want to do with your life. So in short, as long as you work hard, you know, and stuff, you will be able to make good quality movies, okay? You know, just find a community of people you're looking for, you know, take some of the advice I gave, like look at some of my videos and stuff, and even just think in the long run, and that's all you really have to do, you know, because making something of good quality, if you're trying, is not that hard at all. It just takes effort, and that's it, okay? So now on to the second point, of course, is also intent. Now this is the thing that of course people would probably have been confused by. What the fuck do you mean by intent? Well, it's actually simply comes on the fact of like what your actual, you know, intent is when it makes a movie, okay? Because the truth of the matter is sometimes actually how good something is actually not as hard as you imagine it would be, okay, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? Just like, for example, a lot of people, specifically in the music community, and even more specifically in the rap community, complain that, oh, modern music sucks because all they do is mumble and you can't even understand what they're saying. What if somebody just simply decides, okay, I'm going to make music where I don't mumble, and I, you know, simply put it, actually put my time and effort into writing lyrics where not only that you can understand clearly, but also actually maybe have a topic that has substance. Even if it's more meant for entertainment, it's a well thought out, well written story, instead of just trying so hard to just come up with a story as quickly as possible and it comes out stupid and dumb, okay? That's how it's like for music, you know? If you just simply put in effort, you know, which I talked about a little bit for one of my videos before, you know, you can come up with some good ass lyrics. And when it comes to movies, it's the same thing. Why don't you just simply make a movie, you know, you and the community you're a part of, make a movie where instead of just simply focusing on identity politics, like having a random black person in a medieval setting, or some, I don't even know, some Latino person in like feudal Japan, or maybe it could be like some white person in like in the Middle Eastern setting. It's like, how the fuck did we even get there? Like that identity politics stuff, and of course having that randomly implement some LGBTQ plus character in the movie movie, all that type of foolishness. If you are making your own movie, you don't have to worry about that stuff. You can just make something naturally and not have to take that stuff into consideration, because it's your own movie. You can make it without having to focus on identity politics, let alone all these stupid issues that they kind of force on people when they're making movies nowadays. So if you're making your own movie and you focus on community, surprise, surprise, you will um help make movies become good again, because not only are you putting in hard work, so you're gonna of course figure something out, when it comes to developing your skill for it, you're also of course no shit, also of course if your intent is to not focus on the toxic things that actually make movies suck, then guess what? Your movies are going to be good. And that's the truth. So now that we are done talking about the 2 points on why I believe movies can become good, now is of course to get the topic of the lesson. Well, the lesson is that simply put it, if you want something to be good, okay, and you want to make something good, focus less on trying to make everybody like it, okay? Try to focus on popularity first instead of focusing on a niche audience is the worst way to make something become popular. So focus on a niche audience first, and sooner you know it, the masses will follow because the masses are followers. And that is all I have to say. Bye.